Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 23rd episode of Cricket Spectacle. I am Siddharth Gulati and I am joined by Nikhil Deshpande. Today, we bring you the cricket story of a nation where women are leading the charge. In January 2020, Brazil's women cricketers became fully professional ahead of the men's. The groundbreaking decision by Cricket Brazil not only gave their women's players life hope and new direction, but it also served as a boost to the game of cricket in the football-loving nation and earned Brazil praise for its initiative in women's cricket. Also, cricket is spreading across the country, courtesy Cricket Brazil's Pathway programs. To talk more on the rise of this amazing sport in Brazil, please welcome Mr. Liam Cook, the head coach of Brazil women's national cricket team. Mr. Cook, it's good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'd say good afternoon to you guys in India, or good morning here in Brazil.
It's midnight or in Melbourne.
It's good evening in India.
Oh, good evening, is it? Sorry.
Yeah. So I'll just start off before I switch ends with Nikhil. So Liam, how did your journey start with Cricket Brazil, and how would you rate your experience so far?
So my personal journey was quite a random one, actually. Brazil brought over a street cricket team to the 2019 World Cup in the UK. And on that, I managed to, through a link through Kent Cricket and Bromley Cricket, and Bexley Cricket, I managed to meet the captain of Cricket Brazil, Roberta Avery, and Matt Featherstone. They asked me to do some one-to-ones with Roberta, so some private coaching sessions, and obviously I took the chance. And that's where it all started. I was intrigued to learn about Cricket Brazil myself. I'll be honest, I didn't know a huge amount about Cricket Brazil. I didn't know much about the women's cricket, especially. And it just intrigued me. So when I got an opportunity to do some one-to-ones with Roberta, it was more out of curiosity than anything else, just to see the level she was playing at, the ability she was at, and just thought it'd be something nice to put on my CV to say I'd coached the Cricket Brazil women's captain. So yeah, that's sort of how it started. On the back of that, I stayed in contact with Roberta, with Matt Featherstone, who's the president of Cricket Brazil. Yep. And he sent a message asking if I'd be interested in going to Brazil, or knew anyone that'd be interested in going to Brazil for a few months in 2020. To do a bit of cricket coaching. I actually got the email when I was in South Africa watching England in Port Elizabeth, which was interesting as well. And I was speaking to my dad. I said, "Do you know what? I think I might do this. Let's do it. Let's go to Brazil. Let's coach a bit of cricket." But there aren't many people in the world that can say they've travelled to Brazil to coach cricket. So yeah, took the opportunity. Came over in February 2020. Just before COVID hit the world. Managed to get about 6 weeks coaching in before I was shipped back out to the UK on the last plane from Sao Paulo to avoid the COVID. And then, yeah, from there, stayed in contact. Matt asked if I'd be interested in making it a more formal appointment. And I obviously ripped his hands off, said, yeah, I'll do it. What a thing to do. The women had just been given professional contracts, and everything was full steam ahead for this qualifier we've got coming up in a few weeks' time. My experience so far has been amazing. Brazil's a fantastic country, great people, and the passion for cricket here is unbelievable. I've said before in previous interviews and things about my first experience of cricket in Poços de Caldas, which is where I am now. And I was actually sat in a coffee shop that I'm sat in now, and a guy walked past me with a Somerset cricket shirt on with Craig Overton's name on the back. And myself and Craig are born about 15 miles apart in the UK. So I was looking at it and I was in absolute disbelief seeing Craig Overton's shirt walk down the street in Brazil. But yeah, that sort of sums up how I was completely unaware of what it was going to be, but how exciting it was when I saw that. Obviously now we're moving into, we've been training hard for the World Cup qualifiers, and it's become quite serious, we're really excited, but it's become, the girls are really driven to give a great account of themselves in this competition coming up. So I've just seen a complete change in focus from it being, this is during COVID trying to do what we can do, to now being in a situation where, do you know what, let's go and show the world what we can do.
That's nice. That's actually very, very good to hear. That's, I think, one of the best intros that we have had, on the show in the recent
Yeah, I mean,
past.
you would probably be expecting like a Ronaldo or a Ronaldinho jersey or something, right? And then you see Craig's jersey and you're like, wait a minute, am I in the right country?
It's brilliant. You see the São Paulo, you see the Palmeiras, Santos shirts walking past, Corinthians, and then Somerset, Warwickshire, Essex, Kent. It's very surreal.
Nice,
I must admit, when I see the lads wearing the Essex shirts and the Surrey shirts, I'm a Kent boy myself, so I give them a little bit of stick when they're wearing Surrey and Essex shirts. They don't quite understand it yet, but I'm trying to get it in their head so they understand Kent, not Surrey.
Oh yeah, you're building a fan base over there as well.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just move on. So Liam, I spoke about women's cricketers in Brazil being offered contracts, ahead of the men's. So I'm sure a lot of behind the scenes work would have been put in with respect to this initiative. So could you tell our viewers about this exhaustively?
Yeah, so the reason women were awarded contracts before the men was based on the women. We've got 50-50 women and men playing cricket in Brazil, and the women are at a higher level than the men with regards to the relevant structures that they're in. So it made sense to actually invest our time, money in the women rather than the men, with a bigger chance of qualifying for a major competition. Most of our squad for the women are all Brazilian born as well. We've got a couple that are not. We've got one girl that was born in the UK and one girl that was born in South Africa, but the rest are Brazilian born, local Brazilians. And it really became an initiative which was easy to sell to the local community. With it being an initiative that's easy to sell to the local community, we were able to put in a really strong infrastructure with everything the girls needed. So we've got doctors, psychologists, strength and conditioning coaches, access to sports clubs. The mayor of the city actually says, I am the mayor of Poços de Caldas, the only city in Brazil that has more cricketers than footballers. So all the local businesses see what we're trying to do and have bought into it. So it's allowed us to have a really professional setup over here, which I think if we'd done it with the men, wouldn't have been possible, because a lot of the men are based in São Paulo, Rio, sort of expats that are all over the country. So it was good to be able to actually bring in cricket for Brazilians and give them a real opportunity. And I think that's what helped the local community buy in and provide us with a lot to make this a positive experience for the girls.
So, just in addition to this question only that I asked, so how difficult, or let's say, how easy was it to maybe convince the parents of these, women or girls to let them, pursue cricket as a serious profession in Brazil?
Yeah, so it's been a challenge with some because they don't obviously have a understanding of what cricket is or the opportunities it can provide to people. And again, the relationships and friendships that you get through cricket, I don't think they're not like any other sport. I think it's different. You spend all day with your friends on a field, you win and lose together, and it's a long time with cricket, isn't it? So the parents took some convincing, but one of the real positive things is that there's been opportunities for these players to study at university through Cricket Brazil as well. So it's not just the professional contract, it's the chance to go to a university study. So if cricket doesn't work out for them, there is another route. The finances, look, they're not huge. We haven't got a huge budget, but what it does allow, what we can do is we can allow players to have access to doctors, physios, gyms, education whilst playing sport. So once you take out all those extra expenses from a player's or a young player's life, all of a sudden the parents start to think, you know what, Matt's trying to do the right thing for these players. One of the brilliant stories is one of the male players who played for the under 17s and under 19s has now gone through university, he's got his qualifications and goes back into his local area and delivers cricket to the next generation of kids. So I think being able to take the English people away from Brazilian cricket and put the Brazilians in Brazilian cricket has allowed that vision of what people can become. And also there's people that have played for represented Cricket Brazil in Colombia, Peru in the South American qualifiers. They're the first people in their community to leave the city, let alone leave Brazil. You know, it's opportunities for people. And I think cricket's providing opportunities and people are buying into it. And I think it's only going to keep improving. Like I said, we're aiming it at this local community. We're getting more and more schools in. And I feel personally, even though my role is with the high performance players, the stronger we are at the bottom, the stronger we're going to be at the top, because it leads to more competition and it provides more opportunities to players. So the more work we do at the bottom makes my job at the top much easier.
Absolutely, absolutely. Talking about the next generation of cricketers in Brazil. So I also spoke about the pathway programs, which are managed by the Brazil Cricket Board. And I also read an article on a reputed sports website that more than half of the children in those pathway programs are girls. That in
that's
itself,
correct.
I would say, yes, and that in itself, I would say is exemplary. So I'm sure even Nikhil would like to know more on this.
So
it's really go on. Go on.
No, it's because there's no real history with cricket in Brazil. There's no preconceptions of who plays. So we go into a school and whoever enjoys cricket plays cricket. There isn't my friend's cricket isn't cool. Like we get in the UK where it's very difficult if you come from inner city London to get into playing cricket. If you live in Kent, it's quite easy because your school will play cricket. If you're a female, you have different barriers to the boys in the sense that your mainstream focus from other people telling you what to do may not be cricket. Whereas in Brazil, it's if you like playing cricket, play cricket. There's absolutely no preconceptions on who you are, where you're from, what race, gender, beliefs you have. It's just cricket. Everyone just loves it.
Nice. So, Liam, what do you think, is the most challenging part of coaching a side like Brazil?
For me personally, the language barrier could be quite difficult. My Portuguese is not the best, and it's quite a difficult language to learn. I'm trying. Luckily, I've got a few translators within the side, so it's not too bad. But on the whole, for the pathway is equipment. So equipment, getting kit over here is very difficult. Our suppliers come from India, the UK, all over, but it's very difficult to ship stuff into Brazil because the tax is so high. So it's one, the logistics are difficult. Two, the amount of money you have to pay to get it into the country, it becomes a real barrier. But you may or may not have read previously. We were very fortunate a few years ago to have a shipment from the Lord's Taverners who sent over a huge shipping container with just kit. This is where the Craig Overton shirt comes from, the Warwickshire shirt comes from. And that was a real lifeline for Cricket Brazil. And it was the thing that really kickstarted all the projects of making cricket a bit more mainstream in Brazil, because the kid finally had a bat which they could go, this is my bat, rather than turning up, there's a kit bag with 6 bats in and you pick whichever one you get. If you're the 5th person to pick, you get the worst bat, Whereas now they've got their own equipment, pads, helmets. We've been very fortunate. There's a supplier in the UK that have managed to get us quite a lot of kit over at good rates, almost like a sponsorship. So a lot of the girls have got their own kit without having to pay for it. One of the main things for the players is they haven't got the money to pay for cricket kit. So if you were to ask one of the 18-year-olds to buy a decent bat for £300, £300 over here is about 6 months' wages. So they can't afford to pay for it. So that's probably the biggest barrier, being able to get all the equipment into Brazil. So
I mean, like you mentioned about the language barrier as well, because it sounds a very simple problem and it's a very common problem. You would think that it would be an issue, right? But it's a huge difference when you can actually clearly communicate as a coach to a player, and it might be even harder for you because of the intricacies of the sport being new to them, because you can't explain a technique without actually explaining what to do, right?
Yeah.
So that would be something which you would have faced a lot more earlier than as compared to now, maybe.
Yeah, one of the things I think for me personally as a coach, it's developed my ability to coach using fewer words, be more concise to the point, because if you waffle, they don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So all that extra chat that isn't overly important doesn't go in. So actually, it does mean you're more concise with your feedback to the players. One of the things I would say is, with regards to technique, when I arrived with this group of players, they all sort of shaped their own technique from playing. So I've been reluctant to completely change everything they're doing because I haven't got the time. One, there's not the time to make the relevant changes before the competition, but also, if it works, does it need fixing? So it's one of those things. You've got to sort of find that balance between the two things of understanding the fundamentals, which we focus a lot on the fundamentals when looking to hit the ball straight, when bowling, when fielding. But actually, I don't want to get rid of that flair from these players, because it's something that in some of the players I haven't seen in the UK. So when we go to a major tournament, we might see something and they'll go, oh, wow. Because you look at cricket now, it's changing all the time, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Like these different shots that are coming out, this boundary fielding that's becoming unbelievable. Yeah. And you think, why stifle that if it's not a problem at the moment, if that makes sense?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at Steve Smith, for example, right? Like he has a technique which is so weird. I mean, you wouldn't teach that to someone. You can't teach that to someone probably, even if you wanted to. Yeah.
You look at some of the shots. You look at some of the shots that are being played now. 5 years ago, even in T20, you would have said, "What are they doing?" But now you've got reverse ramps, reverse scoops, like Nat Siver hitting the ball between her legs, the helicopter shot. Like it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when I played cricket in school, I remember that one day, early morning, 6, 7, 15 or something, and I was just not even awake, right, that early in the morning. And I was in the nets and I thought, why not, let's try a reverse sweep, because there was a spinner. I did the reverse sweep. The coach called me over, made me run 3 rounds of the ground because I was trying something funky. Now I do it, I'll probably get praised for it. So
yeah, it's encouraged, definitely encouraged now. It's one of the things we do with focus with the players on free hits. Like the amount of times I've seen free hits that if you don't score runs off a free hit, what are you trying to do? So in practice, let's have a bit of free hit practice. The bowlers need to learn to bowl to a free hit. The batters, they need to understand where they can score their runs, because each person's going to be different. You might have one player who, regardless of what ball it is going to hit you over mid-wicket. Right. You might have another player who's got the ability to get down and ramp one over their shoulder off a quick bowler. So actually, let's encourage that, because as soon as they become more comfortable with that in the nets, then they can transfer it into a game with little consequence. So maybe a training game. All of a sudden, you're at a tournament, they play a ramp shot. It's the same as a front foot drive to them, because they've done it hundreds and hundreds of times. I think that's the key. If you can encourage people to express themselves when they play, they'll enjoy it much more. They enjoy it much more. They play without fear. You play without fear, amazing things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing which you mentioned as well about not able to, but the time for a change in technique as such, right? So as a coach, do you focus more about imparting knowledge in terms of how the game should be played in the moment? Like you mentioned, in a free hit, you practice a lot more. Is that something which you incorporate in your coaching technique a bit more than the technical side of it?
So it depends what stage we're at with regards to when competitions are coming up or matches are coming up. So COVID has obviously impacted the amount of matches we play. So our training focus was up until around about April, May time. We did a lot of work on fundamentals, because we knew the tournament wasn't going to happen anytime soon. So looked at a lot of the players getting in good positions to strike a ball, getting their head towards the ball, looking at their back path to give them the best chance to be able to play a range of shots. Grip, didn't focus too much on too many of the players' grips if their outcome was good. If they're struggling, it's something that you make them aware of. From April time, we started to focus more on primary skills, secondary skills. So getting the batters more time batting, Again, the bowlers more time bowling. We still have the balance of the skill sessions in there to keep them working on those fundamentals. Maybe the bowlers actually looking at bowling slower balls or cutters and things like that. And then when we were sort of advised that the tournament was going to be around September time, we started to focus on our skill sets are probably where they're going to be. We need to now look at understanding how to play the game. And I think one of the things in this trip back here that I've done is we've played a lot of games against the under-23s, under-23 boys, against the girls development squad. I'm focused on understanding what our plans are as a team, how we're going to win games of cricket. Because again, we spoke about barriers before. One of the barriers with this squad is it's a young squad who haven't played a lot of games of cricket.
Yeah.
So to put it into context, you've got a player that's come over from England who played 50 club games this season, which is more games than some of our players have played in their life.
Yeah.
So that's the context. So her game understanding is greater than some of the girls that are here at the moment.
True.
But the skill set might not be as high because she spends more time playing games. So it's about getting that balance. And it's been difficult to get the balance with the way COVID has impacted any tours we wanted to have. And obviously Brazil's been a high risk country for most of the world. So we haven't really been able to travel. Yeah. But yeah, you're completely right. Now we're moving on to game-based stuff, understanding, right, if I'm looking to bowl this area, this is the field I need to have, understanding which fielders are strong in which positions, and getting them. One of the key things for me is getting the right fielders in the right positions. Yeah. There's no point in having a weaker fielder in one of the most valuable positions, because that half chance against the USA, if that goes down, that could be the difference in momentum from us winning a game. So that's what we spent a lot of time focusing on recently.
Yeah, I mean, you rightly mentioned the experience element of it as well, right? And it doesn't come just by playing, like you said. It's about maybe even watching. Do you guys watch a lot of footage in terms of previous old matches, your own probably, if possible, or just in general international cricket to get a feel of how, what to do, when to do?
So they're always watching highlights. So the girls are always watching cricket. They love it. On the group chat, there's always streams from any game that's going on, the IPL, or especially when the women are playing. I was coaching for Kent this year, and Kent women's fixtures were all live streamed. So I was sending them the links, so they're watching the game that I'm coaching at as well. One of the difficulties was I was home for the 100, so I watched a lot of the 100 competition live, and it was fantastic, and it really put women's cricket on the map. Yeah. But they couldn't get it in Brazil. So the live streams weren't available, which I thought would have been an unbelievable incentive for them to see how women's cricket was being followed by so many people regularly. Yeah. Because ultimately, one of our players will be playing in the 100 at some point. I don't know when, but at some point there will be a Brazilian cricketer playing in the 100. So I want them to be able to see this is where you can go. Because as soon as we've got one female cricketer moves into the 100 from Brazil, it opens up everything for everyone. It gives them that role model to say, well, they've done it, they've changed their life through cricket, and that opens the doors then, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, representation is an actual thing, right? Like when you see someone from your own country being playing in England at probably one of the highest levels there is possibly to play, that kind of will shift the whole perspective of people, not just the players, probably the next generation as well, because it's representation, right? Like you see, like when I see some Indian kid doing well in some spelling bee, I can't do it, but I'll still be like, oh, look at that, that's an Indian kid. If he can do it, probably I could do it. I can't do it, but I would like to do it.
I think it's I always take it back to when I'd go down the nets when I was a kid, and I'd be batting and I'd be Kevin Peterson, boom, boom, trying to bat like Kevin Peterson, or trying to bowl. I bowled off spin, so I always used to watch Harbhajan, and I always used to try and bowl like him. And that was because I was looking at someone that I can visualize myself being. It's very difficult at the moment to visualize the girls to visualize where they can go. So fortunately, I've managed to get them in contact with Danny Wyatt, who plays for England, who phoned the girls up and had a chat about life as a professional cricketer. One of my friends, Grace Gibbs, played for the Oval Invincibles and won the 100 and she sent over a signed shirt, and she's messaged the girls and spoke to them. So we're trying our best to put Roberta always says, you can't be what you can't see. So we're trying to give them those people, those role models. But until we've got the Brazilian role model, then our job's not anywhere near done, But so that's our aim. We've got to get someone from Brazil playing in England.
Yeah, I mean,
or India or Australia. I'm not closing any
absolutely.
doors.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's the big cricketing nations, right? Like if you see someone from your own country play in one of those leagues, then it opens the window for that. And something similar on those lines is probably the inclusion of cricket in the Olympics as well, which has been discussed recently, that it might be one of the avenues where we can see cricket growing. How do you, as Cricket Brazil, look at that opportunity as well?
So for us, that could be a huge opportunity, because we've put all the things in place to be able to apply to be an Olympic sport within Brazil.
Yep.
So if it became an Olympic sport, all the infrastructure is in place for Cricket Brazil to apply for Olympic funding, which is huge. It's massive. It's a game changer. It's a life changer for a lot of these players, because it allows them to be fully, some of them still work and things, but it will allow, as well as playing or do little bits extra, it will allow them to be fully professional. It'll open up so many more avenues. So it's a huge thing. We really hope it goes through. And I think it's a lot closer now than it was a couple of years ago. I think a lot more nations are bought into it. And I think with the emergence of more associate and affiliate cricket being seen via live streaming platforms and things like that, it's people becoming aware that cricket is played all over the world. So not just the Big 12 that you sort of that qualified for the ODIs. Yeah. So, it's a huge opportunity, and I think it would be great for us to have an opportunity to play in the Olympics, or even just try and qualify for the Olympics would be a huge, huge step.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's we spoke to a couple of the European nations as well earlier on our previous episodes, like Cricket Germany, Cricket Switzerland, and stuff like that. And they all are pretty excited about the possibility of India, the inclusion of cricket in Olympics as well, which is pretty good, right? Because like you said, it's not just the Big 12 who are actually playing. They get the more coverage maybe, but if you really want to grow the sport, then is there any better platform than Olympics to show the world what the sport can do?
Well, exactly. It's like at the moment you've got the big nations in Dubai qualifying or waiting to play in the World Cup. But you've actually in Europe at the moment got all the European qualifiers taking place. I think they're in Spain, I think, at the moment as well. So it shows that whilst this competition is taking place, the other countries are competing to play in the next one. Yeah. And I think the fact it's now being live streamed and social media is really benefiting the associate nations and giving them an opportunity to show what they've got. I think the European Cricket League and the European qualifiers are doing really well with what they're doing and getting cricket out there so people can see it. I remember being in COVID, in lockdown, trying to find cricket anywhere, and I was watching a game, I think it was from the Finnish Super League or something like that, sat there watching it on my phone, and I thought, this is crazy. I can't imagine just trying to find any sport I can watch, and it was the Finnish Super League streamed on Twitter or something like that. It was great.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely, that was a fun watch. So I think most of us were pretty hungry for some cricketing action, right? And that kind of helped us. I'll just switch over to Siddharth. I'm pretty sure he has a few questions. I've just been bombarding you with all of those.
I just have a couple of quick questions, before we just bring an end to the discussion. So apart from the pathway programs, could you tell us a bit about the progress in men's cricket across Brazil?
So men's cricket in Brazil has been predominantly expats, so Aussies, English, Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladesh. But the tier below at the moment is really exciting. So there's a lot of young Brazilians coming through who have been playing cricket since the age of 6 and 7, which obviously they didn't have before. They had guys that had played in different countries come over, live in Sao Paulo, Rio, the major cities, through work, and then gone Googled a cricket club and then wanted to play cricket, and then that's where the sort of men's team was sort of formed. Whereas now there's a group of under 23s coming through who are really, really exciting. So there's one young lad who we're really hoping to get over to the UK next summer. He's called Luizinho, and he bowls quick. He hits the ball a long way, and he's just a raw talent. And I think it'd be great to get him over to the UK next summer to come and play some club cricket and learn the game, because he nets like a professional. He trains as often as he can, and he plays in every game. If you ask him, can you play today? Even if it was the last minute, he'd be there and he'd turn up with his kit ready to play. And he loves the sport. So I think there's that age group of the under 23s coming through, which will start to shape the future of the men's game. There are plans in place to put in almost the development squad for the men's, who run off a similar program to the women. So they get access to the doctors, the gyms, the physios, to give them an opportunity to play. Again, they're linked in with the university project. So what's really good is they'll study at university and play cricket, which if you were to say someone's studying at university and playing cricket in Brazil, you'd go, how random, but it's what they want to do. They're really enjoying it and they're progressing. So it's the next one through, I think. It's the next one that can be looked to push through. I think the view will be potentially in a few years' time looking to enter maybe an under-19 side in a competition. I think that will be the big one. If we can get an under-19s team in an ICC competition in the men's game, I think that's where we start to really, really make things happen in Brazil.
Nice. Just one last question, a quick answer from your end. So what advice, would you give to the younger Brazil players who are making their way into the national team?
I think just have fun. Just keep having fun. You're going to get these opportunities if you allow yourself to train and have fun. Just enjoy the pathway, enjoy the process. I think they're going to get opportunities their parents won't have. They're going to get opportunities that other people in Brazil won't have. So enjoy it, work hard and enjoy it. I think that would be my main advice.
That's nice. Okay, then I think that's about it. So Liam, I think it's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much, for your input, for your insights. They're really, I would say very, very encouraging and very good. And to all our viewers, please, like our videos, subscribe to our channel. Please comment on our videos. Your feedback matters to us a lot. And we promise to bring you the content that really matters. And until then, on behalf of Nikhil and Liam, it's Siddharth saying goodbye.
Cheers, guys.